If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
Oh, look who's back. Far end of the bench, once again presented by the Variety Sports Network, episode 106. We know we didn't have a live episode last week. Hopefully you enjoyed re-listening to two awesome interviews. Former All-Pro Super Bowl champion with the Denver Broncos, won Super Bowl 50, Luis Vasquez on Wednesday, and then Friday we gave you a little bonus action. Last year's interview that we did with Kendrick Green, the center for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was aired on Friday. So hopefully you all enjoyed that. For our listeners who are just joining us and didn't hear those when they first came out, it was a lot of fun for me to go back and listen to them. I still get chills when Louis talking about it's the best feeling in the world when you take another man's will with your bare hands. And I'm just like sitting there, I'm shaking through the Zoom camera.
It's definitely it's probably one of the best interviews that we could have ever asked for. Like it was so much fun. What better way to just kick it off right before football starts? I mean, we have a bye week this week. I mean, even if you're going into next week before the season starts, go back and still listen to those suckers because they're still on the timeline. Still go click on those because, man, we had so much fun with both those. And obviously Kendrick is fighting for a job too, so that helps too. Hear about a little bit inside, especially if you're a Steelers fan. I know we probably don't have many because Jimmy loves to hate you guys.
Or we have a ton because they like to listen to me. Just that there is the part of the fan base that likes to listen to the haters. So if you are listening because you enjoy me being a hater, I still hate you, Pittsburgh. So I love you, Kendrick.
It's a great one. I love both of them so much.
They were a lot of fun, and now you don't have to scroll all the way back through our feed, which you can follow at FEOTB Pod on all social medias. If you were paying attention earlier in the week, we've been tweeting it out like madmen the last couple of days. We are hosting a fantasy league, 14-team fantasy league. Nico and I are co-general managers of the Bench Mob team. Yeah, Nico's not too happy about that. I'm going to be drafting the team. Nico's going to be on a flight, so he's going to have no control. So he's just going to
I will be finding out what the team is when I land. So
it's like agreeing to cook dinner when you didn't get to buy any of the groceries. So you're just going to see what happens. Yeah. It's the King of the Bench Fantasy League. The link to join is pinned currently to our profile. And we'll be tweeting it out. If you're listening to this
right now, pull up the ESPN app and join it right away because it may have already filled out by now. You never know. So if you're still listening to this and there's spots open, jump on it right now.
Don't assume that there's going to be spots left. I know that there's only a week left until the draft starts. It is a snake draft order, so you're going to have to be present. Otherwise, it's going to auto draft you, and who knows what happens?
Because obviously maybe we'll implement a punishment next year, but we'll come up with something for the winner unless we win, obviously, which we probably will. I mean, look what happened with the March Madness bracket. I won. So
but here's
something for the first loser again.
Here's the thing about that, and I'm totally on board, but I think that we have to address the elephant in the room that you may have a sports gambling problem. I have a problem just making weird ass bets on my teams because if you were following along with our social media earlier on in the week, I just made a bet with Brandon. First 2 out of 3 games between the Avalanche and Blues. If the Avs lose 2 out of 3, I got to teach in a Blues sweater for a day. So I like making all kinds of bets.
I'm not doing that much. So I'm leaving the hockey bets till later on. That's all I'll say. But I'll tell you one thing: I bet on some soccer, some footy this weekend. $100 betting on Bundesliga. Am I back, Jimmy? Did I find my calling with betting on soccer? I think I did. I think I might have.
Well, we are presented by the Variety Sports Network. And you can check out In the Clutch Sports. You get 10% off your whole order when you use code Variety Sports, all caps, and that's all one word. And we'll talk about some of the merch and other things like that for Variety Sports when we get into the NFL talk. But we can mention it's time to talk some college football. And we don't have to wait long to get these good matchups. But let's go back and let's reverse ourselves a little bit in time.
A shit show week 0, like usually.
Yeah, right? It's always that it's gonna be it's assumed that everybody's gonna be weird. We had a game take place in Ireland. Neither team was Notre Dame. I don't know why that was the case.
Very interesting that was the
The
case.
power went out at that stadium and the alcohol became free.
Yeah, that was the funniest part about it.
I love those Irish. Those mix are awesome.
They were handing out. I saw a video of it, or I heard something about it. Handing out 1.5 liters of tonic and gins, not beer. Tonic and gins, the little things that come in those glasses, at games that they give you the little plastic cups. Gallon and a half. That's the difference between Europe and America, right? When you run out of beer, you don't stop selling. You just give it away. It's hilarious, right? Because
we can't take credit cards. Everybody can keep drinking though.
Because think about this, it's so genius. Like look, from a marketing perspective, it's so genius, right? You run out, your machines go down, whatever. Like, are you going to ruin all those fans that came from America's experience? This may be the first or last time they ever come here. And what you just did for them, you think they're going to come back? Absolutely. It doesn't matter if their team got beat, if you're Nebraska. They're coming back. They will come back and enjoy the hell out of it because your hospitality. But my God, I don't think Nebraska ever wants to. Nebraska should have stayed in Ireland. Let's be honest, though.
Nebraska's football team should just disband at this point. Like, that is so
bad, but my God, okay.
No, I mean, we expect CU to be bad. You guys still expect Nebraska to turn this thing around, and I don't know why you continue
11-2.
Well, come on, you know that it's like his top 10 rappers of all time list that he didn't put Eminem in. Like he's just doing this.
Though. No, he's real serious. Yeah. Better program
I don't take anything that dude says seriously. Not a single word. I just listen to Buzzing with the Boys for the bullshit. I don't listen to it for. That's not where I get my news from.
Good quality.
Yeah, it's not a sports analysis show. That's a comedy show. It's just bad. Like, first off, how does Scott Frost keep his job? I get that he is
outside kick up 11. Are you kidding me? Oh my God!
But it is his fault, and you can't say that it's his players anymore because nine single digit losses, 9 single possession losses in 2 years. I'm sorry. I know that your players aren't executing, but at some point you got to point the finger back at yourself and say, I can't get my players to execute, and if we can't get over the hump because of me. I don't see Nebraska turning this. This is not a game that you lose that you're able to turn things around afterwards. This is the start to another 3-7 season where you lose 7 games within 1 possession.
This is Northwestern. They don't fucking play school over there, okay? They don't play football.
They came from medical school to go whoop your ass in Ireland after you were up by 11.
It's like, I saw a stat today. I was like, so Bo Pelini, the guy they fired before Scott Frost, if Scott Frost wins his next 50 games in a row, he'll still have a worse record than Bo Pelini will have when he got fired. 50 straight. That means they go on, they went out for the next 3 or 4 years and they win a national championship. And then he'll still have a worse record than Bo Pelini. Scott Frost, you had a great career at UCF. My God, are you not ready for the big lights?
I know that he wanted to come to his home program. He used to be a stud when he played for him. I think he's one of the last quarterbacks to win a national championship for him. It's obviously not there as a coach, at least not in Nebraska. He did great when he had Mackenzie Milton before the devastating knee injury at UCF. That was awesome. I rooted for them so hard. Yeah. I rooted for them so hard to beat Auburn in that bowl game. I wanted it for them. I didn't count it as a national championship like those dipshits, but hey, you're cute. You were in the dance. It was nice. Nebraska's not cute anymore.
No,
that can't be.
There's expectations for one of the worst programs in college football at the current moment. Let's be honest here. At the current moment, one of the worst programs in college football. That's not even close.
Let's say contemporary
People circled Nebraska on their schedule, being like, "Oh, this is a bye week, basically."
Yeah.
Big Ten spits on you, and let's be honest. This is ever since they moved to the Big Ten. Right?
They should have never moved. They had one year. They had Compton's senior year that they were in the Big Ten championship. They lost. That was the year that Wisconsin had 3
they lost all their
yard
recruits to Big Ten teams.
Well, they were never gonna be able to compete in recruiting in the Big Ten.
They
competed in the Big 12. I've said this a couple times on the show. They recruited in the Big 12 very well because they could go to Texas and say the furthest you ever have to go is a home game. Otherwise, we're playing 20 minutes from your house and 15 minutes from your house and an hour from your house. They were able to pull guys from Texas and Oklahoma and the talent pool. You can't pull Pennsylvania boys away from Penn State. You're not pulling anybody from Ohio or Michigan to go play at Nebraska and go stare at a bunch of corn for 4 years.
And think about like this. Like if they're in the Big 12 currently, they'd probably be a middle of the road team. They would be a 7-6 team. They would be along the road. They could beat up probably on these bad teams weekly. And
they would always have that win against Kansas.
Yeah, they would be halfway relevant. And when you're halfway relevant, you get somewhere eventually, right? Like it just takes time. But this is as low as you can go. The bar was low, but my God, you lowered it.
When I thought you couldn't be any stupider. You go and do something like this. It's amazing. And you couldn't beat guys. Northwestern halfway through the fourth quarter was thinking about the calculus they were having to do on the plane ride back.
And think about this. Nebraska last year beat this team by 30.
Yeah.
The line was 10.5, Jimmy. 10.5. I took plus 10.5. I was like, oh, there's no fucking way they covered.
I couldn't believe that they put Northwestern as the underdog. I know what happened, and I know that Nebraska should beat them. That quarterback too. He talked a big game in the offseason and went on busting with the boys and was like, yeah, no, we know what we're doing here. Like, we're finally ready to take that next step. Pick in one of the most critical situations you could ever have. Basically threw it directly to Pat Fitzgerald's clone that he has playing middle linebacker because he took his helmet off and he's got the buzz cut, no neck, and he's just like, ugh.
The guy he bred in a fucking lab, in the science lab, yeah.
Sports and math, that's the only ball that I've ever caught in my entire 26 years of life. You can't beat that guy.
It's so funny. It really is. And we can laugh at this because I'm kind of a CU fan. I have a new allegiance, by the way. I'll get to it here in a moment. A new allegiance for this year college football. I'll tell you here in a moment. But because it's a team that's been around a little bit, and I think they're back. Maybe they're back. Maybe they're not back. That's all I'll say. But you have to stick around for that. But man, CU and Nebraska, like I said, CU would walk over this team, right? I mean, look,
not walk over them, but keep it close and then win a final possession game. Yeah,
exactly. Think about this. The last time these two teams played was 2016.
We're one of the 9 single-digit losses that they've had in the last 2 years.
Yes.
CU is one of those teams in Nebraska. Also, it was at home.
Yeah, and you don't think that was so much fun watching them all lose their mind over it?
I don't even fucking care about CU, but
it was beautiful. Like I said. It's look. We talk about Lakers fans. We talk about Cowboys fans being delusional. We talk about Knicks fans being delusional. I don't think anything tops Nebraska fans. Single
they're
year,
not delusional.
Every single year.
You can't be delusional if you're too stupid to understand that your take is wrong. You know the N stands for knowledge in Nebraska. That's why they're so miserable. Is that they're so stupid. They talk themselves into this is our year every single year, and then. Well, history repeats itself. You get smacked in the face with the same book.
And look, we're joking about their knowledge. This is a true statement. I read this on Twitter. So in Ireland, there's an N on cars of novice drivers. Yes, that's a word in Nebraska. Novice. That means new drivers.
Yeah, it means not good.
Not good. And they have an N that looks like the red N. I saw a Nebraska fan be like, wow, there's a lot of Nebraska fans over here. This is like the 10th car I've seen. Oh, and there were comments being like, that's a state law or that's a country law that Ireland has that novice drivers have to put an N on their car, back of their car. And it looks like
it's the perfect example of just like Americentrism, just like, oh, wow. Ireland loves Nebraska football. Of course they love Nebraska football.
Nebraska football, right? Go Nebraska.
The Irish people are like, no, we've been fighting the British for our independence for the last 30 years. I don't care about Nebraska football. The N has nothing to do with that. Dumb ass, you stupid American.
Everything you could have wanted in week 0, right? Just shit show. Because week 0 is for teams. Because look, I bet I won a lot of money on Bundesliga and college football this past weekend. Because college football, you bet on 2 things in week 0. One, how good the program is, because we don't know who the hell's playing. Don't ask me a name of the player on either team because I don't know a name of the player on the team. So you bet on the program. You bet on who's home, who's away. And this one, where it's a neutral site, I'm betting on Northwestern absolutely against those chums. Oh, it was. I could have told you last week. I know we didn't record last week, but I would have said it outright that before the game. I could have said Nebraska has a chance to lose this game. I would have said it. I said I'm taking the spread because I'm not an idiot, because I like winning money, but I should have took the money line at that point. Because that's how confident I was that Nebraska was going to do something stupid.
At the risk of pissing off the spirits, I will say we've kind of come full circle. Remember the far end of the bench curse, where every team that we talked about last season in the top 10, or that we said was going to be a lock, ended up losing the week after that we talked about them. So I would say stay away from Northwestern for at least a couple weeks. Make sure that isn't
they're partying
a real
already
thing.
too much.
Yeah.
Illinois.
Illinois, let's talk about that game because we kind of I mentioned it on my podcast appearance for with Fat Boy Fadeaway. We kind of claim Wyoming just because of the 3-hour drive from where we are to Laramie's campus. So it's close enough. It basically counts. And, Wyoming likes to get recognized every now and then. They're like, oh, yeah, you remember I'm still here.
You guys come up here for Shine Frontier Days, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys like the Cowboys and the country singers and the tight jeans. That's right.
That's right.
Illinois, Brett Bielema, in his first game of the season, Illinois puts it together and big win, 38-6. Not surprising because this is what should happen. This is a mid-major conference going up against a team in the Big Ten. Yeah. Even though it's Illinois, if you listen to last Friday's bonus episode with Kendrick, he even said, while he was at Illinois, they never really put it together, but they were getting close, and they always have the talent.
They always do. They always have.
They have a few. Illinois, Illinois has players that go to the next level all the time at all phases of the game. So they should be good. And they're a team that beat Penn State last year. If you remember, they went to 6 overtimes, ended up beating the Nittany Lions. So it was a good start for them, and they did exactly what they were supposed to. Wyoming looks even worse than what I was anticipating. I was not prepared to see. I was not prepared to see whatever they thought that was. I remember Wyoming. They ended up winning against, it was probably Akron. They were one of the teams that really screwed me over in the college bowl pick'em and ended up letting Dom sneak in. And I was like, oh, they played well. They stood up and fought the entire time. And no, you mustered 2 field goals. I think probably 4 first downs as a team the entire game and get absolutely. It looked like I turned on the PS3 for a second and was playing just a random exhibition matchup. That's how ridiculous this game was.
Against a bottom feeder too.
Illinois, Illinois is nowhere close.
It's not competing for a big
Illinois in the late 90s, early 2000s maybe was competing for a Big Ten championship for a span of 3 years. They were like Eddie George's kryptonite when he was at Ohio State. Ever since then, it's not so much. They're just there. They just exist. They're that's a school. In all honesty, Illinois should be a school in the Big Ten that Nebraska goes and beats up on.
Yes, it should.
That's what they're supposed to be. Yeah, it's not going to happen this year. It's going to be a 1 possession loss, and Illinois is going to get that win if they do play. We talked about the lock of the week. Nevada wins 23-12 over New Mexico State. I honestly did not
watch a second of the game and don't know a word or name a player on each team.
Here we go. I'll give you. Let's see.
I could not name a player on each team, and I still knew the lock.
I'm sure that this name is going to. Toa Tawa. That's the name that I want you to remember for Nevada. 19 carries, 109 yards, and he had 5.7 yards a carry. Toa Tawa. Toataua. He used all the vowels.
All I know is that
he used all of them.
That Carson Strong left, and that the coach went somewhere else too. And I was like, I don't care. That's why it's not at 7.5. Oh, thank you.
Their quarterbacks were god awful. They had 2 kids play. One of them was 7 for 12. The other one was 7 for 11. They mustered a total of 78 yards. This was a week 0 game through and through. This was awful. You are not the only person that did. There was probably a ton of people who bet on this game and then didn't watch this game because they knew exactly what they were getting.
It was me. It was a 12 o'clock game too. It was a 10 o'clock here. No one watched. It was a Pac-12 after dark, but no one wanted to watch it basically. And it was a lock. It was a lock and a half. Like I said, New Mexico State is not good at sports.
No. And let's talk about who is your new team? Who's your new affiliation for college football? Because we're going to start getting into week 1 matchups.
I'm coming back. I hate doing it. I'm back, baby. Yep, I know. I'm coming back. The U is back, baby. I'm full aboard. I need a team. Okay.
You remember how last year I was telling a couple weeks ago I said when Dom was telling us that he picked the Jets to beat the Broncos because of preseason games, and I was like, the only time in my broadcasting career, I wanted to stop somebody from themselves and save them, was that time. This goes on that list here. Yeah, this one goes on that list also.
Look, for people that aren't watching on YouTube, I hold up the U, and look, I don't have a team. Let's be honest here again. I don't have a team. CU is so pitiful. I don't even want to envy it. And Miami has Mario Cristobal. Cool, he's back. They're ranked in the top 20. That's cool. They're back. And you know what? We went to their campus 2 or 3 straight years, and I loved being on that campus. I thought it was so awesome. I thought it was cool, the facilities and the history of it. So you know what? That's and I hate doing it, Jimmy. I'm not gonna love myself for it, but I'm doing it. So that's my team this year because I don't want to bandwagon Alabama. I'm not going to ban. I'm not bandwagoning a good team. All right, I'm bandwagoning a team that probably won't do anything. That's the key thing here, Jimmy. They probably won't do anything. So that's why it's okay to bandwagon. I'm not Kevin Durant joining the Golden State Warriors. I'm Kevin Durant joining the Brooklyn Nets that were good at one point and they have some promising, but they're not going to do anything ever. So that's why it's okay. I am not basing this fanness off of me thinking that they're going to be good. Let's be honest here. I don't think they will be. So it's not that I'm delusional, Jimmy. I'm not Dom over here picking the Jets to be good. I'm saying Miami's probably going to be bad, but I need some allegiance so I don't look like an idiot this year. Because you have your Oklahoma State, you have you have some schools that you just die hard.
All the schools that I beat everybody with in NCAA, yeah.
Exactly. So you know what? I'll bandwagon the hell out of the not bad program, but a once storied program.
Yeah, it's interesting. Miami is an interesting school because they're really small and their academic standards are really high. So
very high.
It's difficult for them to recruit even their own area. And the way that they've always been able to get around it is they basically give track scholarships and then you play football in the fall. So
they should have Joe or Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis give a motivational speech. And try to get you on the door.
If people don't remember, that was what they did after their first NCAA sanctions. You haven't seen the 2 30 for 30s on Miami. I've watched both of them so many times that I'm like an expert on that whole situation. Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, and there was one other big receiver that I can't think of. Andre Johnson, the guy who beat the crap out of Cortland Finnegan. All those 3 guys weren't on football scholarships. They were on track scholarships. They weren't supposed to technically be there because Miami's football team was being punished, and they found the loophole and it worked for them because they ended up winning a national championship with that team. I don't hate it. I also just I like to play the 2 Live Crew song when you talk about Miami because
that's
Luther Campbell was. So you talk about us going down to Miami and for all those youth camps. Luther Campbell was one of the big reasons why, because he was the one who ran the Pop Warner League out there in South Florida. So when we would go down and play Plantation and Pembroke Pines, it was all of his teams that we ended up playing, and they do love their football a little bit too much. They bet on youth football. And they had that they had a bigger stadium. They were playing their youth games than we played in our high school games. And we go to the biggest high school in Colorado.
Yeah, that's just football in the South. That's just how it is, especially in Florida too, where it's a cult. Like it's the best way to play. And like I said, I am not picking it because I think they're gonna win. So don't hate me. Don't hate me, everyone. I think it's just a bandwagon pick so I can have a team. All right.
Let's talk about some of the big matchups that we have coming up for week 1. Couple ranked matchups. First one, 1:30 on ABC. 11 ranked Oregon takes on number 3 ranked Georgia, the defending national champions. I was surprised that Georgia was ranked as 3. I've been hearing a lot of people pick Ohio State as their national championship pick. I don't know how you don't look at Georgia or Alabama and go, these are the two. These 2 might end up meeting in the national championship again. It's a possibility that we all have to prepare ourselves for. I think Georgia is going to prove it's going to be similar to what we saw against Clemson last year because Oregon isn't great. Oregon's going to be kind of rebuilding, same way Clemson was last season. And Georgia's offense might not be able to score, but Georgia's defense was all the points that they needed last season. again
And
in their
look,
week one opener.
we're not lying here. They lost a lot. They did. But and look, we're talking about the guy whose fandom I just picked over. Mario Cristobal is not Oregon anymore. We're talking about a brand new coach team having to face the national champions in week one.
Mm-hmm.
The line right now is sitting at 17. I don't take those lines unless it's Alabama. Let's just be honest here. I don't take minus 17 odds unless it's Alabama. That's just my rule of thumb. But my word, I think this could get ugly fast. Mm-hmm. I think Oregon is not gonna be able to keep up defensively at all. I think Georgia will play their tough football game, and Oregon's going to try to run up and down the field, and they're going to get popped a few times, and I think it'll be doomsday. Like, I hate saying that, but
Oregon's offense doesn't work unless they're faster than everybody else on the field. And when you play against an SEC team, you learn really quick that you are not that as fast as you think you are. You're not that fast. Everybody can keep up with you when you're playing against SEC competition. This screams you remember when Michigan played Alabama in one of the week one kickoffs a couple years ago at a neutral site game. I don't think this one is neutral site. No, this one is playing. They're playing it in the. Basically, it is, but it's not really. It's playing in Atlanta, so not Athens, but it's Georgia. So it's going to be loud. It's going to be a Georgia heavy crowd, and Oregon is.
They travel. They're going to get.
They're going to get their doors blown off before they even get to the stadium. I
hope they cover. Like I said, I'm rooting for a cover and a good game, but I just cannot see that happening. Like, I really can't. Like, it's unfortunate, but that's where these two programs are at right now. Like I said, Oregon was a team that everyone at some point were like, this is a team that could be the team. Like, it could. They have a chance at national championship when they had Mariota.
They were the Pac-12's best chance last year until they shit the bed down the stretch.
Exactly. So, and like I said, they could be the third best team in the Pac-12 this year, right? Mm-hmm. If they're better than USC, which I don't think they will be, I definitely don't think they'll be better than Utah. So like I said, that's pushing it. Third best team in the Pac-12. This against the national champions? No, that's not going to happen.
They're ranked. I think that's a pity ranking, giving them number 11. That's more based on what they were ranked last season, and it's not really what they have coming into week one. I think that one's going to get ugly quickly.
It was more of you're Oregon, so let's give you this ranking kind of thing. We know you're not going to stay there. You're a team that will bump everyone up, but we
just got to make Georgia's record and strength of schedule look a little bit better.
We got to so
they're going to beat a top. They're going to beat a top 15 team in week one, but we all know you weren't really a top 15 team.
Yeah, we all know you weren't. So that's, and like I said, I think they cover, but I'm not betting that way. That's just all I'll say.
One that I think is interesting, and it's actually going on at that same time that I think will be a lot better of a game is Cincinnati, Arkansas. Cincinnati, after their college football playoff appearance, they're coming into this season ranked 23rd. They lost their starting quarterback. They lost their number one corner. They still have Luke Fickell. And remember, they are getting ready to move into a Power 5 conference. If the Big 12 is still going to exist in another couple of years, I think they start in the Big 12 next season is their first year there. So they should – all of the talk about the group of 5 versus the Power 5 in this matchup should be out the window. Yeah. Technically, you should be at this point when you're a year away from going into your Power 5 conference, you should be ready to take that step. And we should see Cincinnati go have another 12-0 undefeated season and should be pushing for playoff consideration again. The interesting thing about this matchup, though, is Arkansas is a sneaky, fundamentally sound, and a team, especially when they're playing at home, could be a nightmare for people to deal with.
They're a nightmare to everybody in the SEC. Whenever Arkansas comes on the schedule, doesn't matter if it's Alabama, doesn't matter if it's Auburn or Georgia, they see that and they're like, fuck, we gotta go down there. Look, Arkansas is not a team that's going to win the SEC. They're not, but they're a team that everyone's like, fuck, we gotta go play them. That's just the style of football that they play.
Think about it. There's nothing else for people to do in Fayetteville. So everybody on Saturdays goes to the Razorback games, and this is going to be a huge test for Fickell and Cincinnati on the road week one, going to SEC territory against a team that I think that's one of the rankings that I do agree with. Arkansas might even be able to be a little bit higher because they only had 3 losses in a very tough SEC schedule last year. They are near the top echelon of at least the SEC West division, and 19th for them makes total sense. So this could be a signature win for this season for Cincinnati, or we could be seeing Cincinnati fall out of the top 25 with a loss.
It's crazy. Like I said, this team was a number 4 seed, right, in the playoff last year. They're out to 24. Obviously, they lost so much. Like losing Ritter. Wow.
Not the Riddler. The
Not
Riddler was in the
losing
Batman.
losing Ritter, losing Sauce Gardner, you name it. Like they lost a lot of bodies. They did. So and dropping 24. If you're Luke Fickell, you gotta get the boys rallied, right? You gotta be like, look at what they're doing to you, right? We finally get a chance to show ourselves. Obviously, we weren't ready for Bama, but maybe we're ready for Alabama's little brother, right? This is your chance to show that the Big 12 could be something in a few years, right? When Oklahoma and Texas leave, this is going to be your conference. The Big 12 will be your conference, right? You're going to be the team that would be like, man, like this is our chance to show ourselves that the Big 12 can be something. Mm-hmm. You say against Arkansas, people are going to be like, Big 12's dead.
Yeah, it's going to go.
I don't want to say this is a Big 12 do or die game, but it almost is.
And it's funny because they're not even in that conference.
They're not even in it. Like when Oklahoma and Texas leave, or 2 years or next year, or however long it is, Cincinnati will run the conference. And if you can't beat a middle of the road Arkansas team and you get beat like you did against Alabama in the college football playoff, no one's going to take the Big 12 seriously. Mm-hmm. And more than it already doesn't, right? More than it already doesn't. Any chance at respectability that conference may have after the big dogs leave may be gone. And I know this is weird saying this week 1 of the college football season, but that's the way it is, unfortunately, because of the landscape of college football right now.
They'll be able to get themselves back and probably move up into at least the top 15 if they do lose this week. But we're not talking, obviously, they can't make the college football playoffs still being in the AAC unless they're undefeated. And when they get into their conference schedule, they're going to have to be putting on huge performances and big shows. I'll give you the Pac-12's do or die game here. Number 7, Utah going to the Swamp. They're a 3-point favorite going into Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators under Billy Napier, his first year there. If you don't know who that is, he was the one who was coaching the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, and they got a bowl victory last season and won the Sun Belt Conference. So did great things at that program, and now he's tasked with turning around the once great Florida Gators program. Haven't been relevant since Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, and Percy Harvin were toting the rock for those guys.
When's the last? Obviously, I don't have the stat pulled up. When's the last time Florida was an at-home underdog against a non-conference opponent?
Never. I would guess almost never, unless it's maybe a Clemson or a Florida State when they're really good in the ACC. Yeah, it's been since the 2000s.
It's been a very long, very long time. And I'll be honest with you, I hammered Utah 2.5. I did. I think Utah could be. Yeah, I think Utah is a lot more grittier, a lot tougher. And look, because I think Utah has the best chance at representing the Pac-12. As much as we joke about the Pac-12 being dead and basically about to go under, I would love to see Utah at least give a little bit of bright to this conference, right? Like think about it. I would love to see a Pac-12 team in there outside of the Big 12. Think about it. Everybody's wanting to leave to the Big 12. Pac-12, I have some allegiances to because he was in there and going to the conference, whatever, like conference champions, whatever. Like I think that Utah could be a team that sneaks in the top 4. And everyone is very, very high on Utah because of the amount of returning starters they have and a good, tough football program they have. And right now, under Billy Napier, we don't know what they're going to be. Louisiana Raging Cajuns, good program. The coach, Billy Napier, did a great job with that team. But like we saw with Scott Frost, these smaller school coaches aren't necessarily always ready for the big-time schools, right? They're not always ready for the limelights of a week 1 matchup against a top 10 team in the country. It may take a couple weeks. It may take a couple years for Florida to get back to where they are. I don't think they do it right away. So that's why I'm taking Utah 2.5. I hate doing it on the road, but that's how confident I am in this Utah team.
I did not see that coming. I thought we were going to be in lockstep there. I'll tell you right now, I see that 7 next to Utah, and I know Utah plays in the Pac-12, and I just laugh. I would be giggling, especially if I'm an SEC team taking Billy Napier now in his first game as the Florida head coach gets to go, look at the disrespect everybody has for you. This is the Swamp. This is one of the worst venues to go to. Like I would never go watch a game in Gainesville, even if I was at Florida. I would just never do it. There's no air conditioning. It's hot, and the sun sits directly on you no matter where you're sitting in the stadium. but this is a historical venue in college football. This is a historical program, and they're going to say that this team from Utah that got a bogus 7th ranking preseason is going to come in here and they're a 3-point favorite on the road. Okay, I would take that. And I think we're going to see the one thing about Billy Napier teams is that they always were aggressive and physical. And one thing the Pac-12 is not aggressive nor physical.
I would argue Utah is
and they're not going to be. Utah is a little bit of an exception. But if you're physical in the Pac-12, you're like the third most physical team. Yeah, it's not the same. And same thing that I said with Oregon. You're not going to be faster than anybody on Florida. They're going to have every single athlete to be able to cover you up. Remember, 2 years ago, they were undefeated. It was a top 10 matchup, them versus Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson in 2019. That was a marquee matchup. And they had Kyle Trask at quarterback. They almost pulled that off. I think that they're going to be able to step up at home. And this is a primetime matchup there. It'll be 7 p.m. Florida time. People are going to be drunk. It's going to be loud. And Utah is going to be like, I'm not in Mormon country anymore, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
I guess that's the first disagreement we'll have this week. Yeah, the first line of going against each other. It's good to have that.
I'm not gonna take the line. I would take Florida to win outright. I don't think that it
2.5 plus 2.5. Yeah, you have to take the outright. Like plus 2.5. Like that's good to take in preseason football. Because
it's not enough wiggle room.
No, it's not good enough for that. No. So
does
if
Utah,
you like Florida, you take a money line.
Utah State, do they have any shot against Alabama?
What's the line at? 40 something now?
41.5.
Oh God.
Over under is 60. So the point spread is Alabama minus 41.5. The over under is 62.5. They think that Alabama is going to score 50 points. And Utah State's going to get a touchdown and push it over like 62.
Oh man.
And that's the reigning Mountain West Conference champion in Utah State. And they just had a big win last weekend in week 0.
Oh man,
Alabama's the fun story to talk about this year too, because they had a down year last year, losing in the national championship, but they had another conference championship. And Nick Saban, he's still the only coach that can say in his entire time here, if you played for me, you've won a national championship.
Exactly. We'll keep bringing that stat up to beat a dead horse, because that's how crazy that stat is.
Because he continues to beat the dead horse of college football.
Exactly. So
he refuses to let up. We refuse to let up on him.
I hate doing 41.5 coverage, Jimmy. I do. Because at some point, Nick Saban's like, I feel bad for these poor people.
Yeah.
Right?
He's going to give over like Cliff Kingsbury. He's like, hey, who's my quarterback? You come over here. You call the plays for the fourth quarter. I'm going to go get a beer and a hot dog. At
some point, I'm betting on the fucking third stringers, right, to cover. Yeah. And I don't want to do that. I'm already blindly betting on college football, not knowing more than half these players. You really think I'm going to bet on Alabama's third string to cover 40.5? I don't think so.
They didn't even put Alabama on TV for that one. They're on the SEC network. They're not even on cable television for that game. So they're not thinking anything's going to happen. That's like, I remember a couple years ago, they opened up the season at the Citadel, and the Citadel had a lead at halftime, and Nick Saban, that was one of his epic meltdowns where he broke his headset in half, and then they came out and I think scored 60 points
40 on
in the third quarter. Yeah. No, the real marquee matchup of the weekend, obviously, it's Notre Dame and Ohio State. It's a top 5 matchup. Notre Dame gets the 5th ranking. They're going to be under the new head coach now, no longer under Brian Kelly. It shouldn't be that much of a difference. The guy that's the head coach now has been the defensive coordinator for the last few years, and the team celebrated.
So maybe it's an upgrade.
Yeah, the team celebrated pretty hard when he was promoted. Ohio State, number 2 ranking nationally. CJ Stroud is coming back. Obviously, they got the win in the Rose Bowl last season. Ryan Day, is a down season for them too. They lost. Actually, they didn't even make the
losing to Michigan because it was a down season. That's the only reason why.
That's why they had a down
if you don't think that they were motivated
no Big Ten championship.
If you don't think they were motivated by Michigan getting in the last 4 and not them this year, then you'll be strongly mistaken.
I cannot wait for – that's the bad thing, is that it's all the way in Thanksgiving weekend, but I cannot wait for the game this year. I think there's going to be so much bad blood, and I can't wait to see.
Isn't it in Michigan this year?
It would – no.
Or
no, it was in Michigan last year, so it's going to be in the shoe.
Oh.
It will be in the horseshoe. Yeah, we're going to see if
Boy, I
Harbaugh can
can't wait.
actually win in Columbus. But this weekend, Notre Dame versus Ohio State. Notre Dame lost a lot of NFL talent that I think they're going to really miss out on. And
Kyle Hamilton is the main piece too. Like,
Yeah.
they lost a lot of dogs. Ian Book was gone 2 years ago, so they have a returning starter. Like they
no, they don't, because it was Jack Cohn from Michigan or Wisconsin last year. He was a graduate transfer, so they're going to have a
that's
new
right.
quarterback, a lot of new skill positions, and their defense lost its number one leader in Kyle Hamilton. So I think that they kind of got set up to fail. We've always been talking about how they have cupcake schedules because they're not in a conference, so they get to pick and choose, and they normally pick and choose not good teams. This was, I don't know who scheduled this one for Notre Dame. I can guarantee you it wasn't one of the people affiliated with the Fighting Irish. They were probably pissed off that they got booted from the Ireland game in week 0. They would have much rather taken on Nebraska or something like that in Ireland.
Imagine that, Dan. That would have been even worse for Nebraska.
Here's the crazy thing. What do you think the line is sitting at right now for the number 5 versus number 2? 17 and a half.
I know the line, Jimmy, and you're not
17 and a half for Ohio State.
And you're not going to like which way I went.
I know that you think they're probably going to cover. Right?
I think they are going to cover.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I think they are going to cover because I think Notre Dame has a little more respect than Nebraska does of covering football games. So I think that they lose. I do think they lose, but I think Notre Dame plays a good enough defensive game to a point where they can cover. I'm not saying that they're going to tear up Ohio State defense because I don't think so. But I think this is going to be like a 28-17 game.
Does it scare you at all that most of the time Notre Dame in their first game looked like absolute garbage? You remember last season they almost lost to Florida State, who couldn't keep a quarterback healthy, and then they had Mackenzie Milton make his Disney Channel, Disney Plus debut?
I know. But you got to remember that's Brian Kelly.
Yeah, it is different. It is different, but is it going to be that different?
I'm not a fan of Notre Dame. My new allegiance to Miami should mean that I hate Notre Dame.
Yeah, you hate the Catholics.
I hate the Catholics.
Convicts up, Catholics down.
But yeah, no, I don't know why, but I think Notre Dame covers. I hate doing it, but I think they do. I think Ohio State sets themselves up really well to win it all. I think they do. I think they are pissed off of what happened last year in Michigan. I think they're so pissed off. I think that Ryan Day is going to have those boys buzzing. And I think that they're going to go on a run. But I see Notre Dame covering. Like I said, I hate doing it, but I don't know why. I see Notre Dame at least making it halfway interesting at halftime. I don't think they win.
Interesting at halftime, I can see, but it's the third quarter where I think that's where the wheels fall off.
When I'm betting a 17.5-point spread, if I think it's going to be halfway interesting at halftime, that means they're going to cover, right? If it's halfway interesting at halftime, unless you're Alabama against the Citadel, you're more than likely not going to put up 3 touchdowns in a quarter. So that's why I think the cover will be there. But like I said, I'm very high on Ohio State this year. And Notre Dame, like I said, Notre Dame wants this is another game. Notre Dame wants any shot at the Final Four. You have to win this game.
Mm-hmm. No,
you have your statement.
They have to be 100. They have to be perfect. You have to be perfect.
And this is your statement win. You win this game and you go undefeated, you're in the college football playoff. Congratulations. They can lock you in as a Final Four candidate if you win this game. Because basically, maybe a 1 or 2 seed at that point. They can circle you in as that. You go into Ohio State and win it at the shoe. That is as big of a statement victory as you want. And if you see the 17.5 spread, I think it's going to get them buzzing. I don't think they'll win, but I think it's going to get them buzzing to a point where it'll be interesting. That's why I don't like. I said that's why I don't like 17.5. I don't like that at all.
It's really big for week 1. I mean, even
especially 2 ranked teams, the top 5. Yeah.
Even though I do think Ryan Day is going to outcoach a first-time head coach on the other sideline. I can't think of the guy's name. That's why I could just keep saying first-time head coach for the Notre Dame guy. Win a couple games, and maybe I'll remember your name next time. But it doesn't seem like – it seems feasible that Ohio State should be able to cover that. But also there's going to be – you can't rely on 22-year-old kids to play mistake-free football. 18 to 22-year-old kids always make mistakes. Everything, especially week 1, 2, week 0, 1, 2, and 3, that's where you're expecting absolute chaos. And then afterwards, you have to wait until November when the Maction starts playing on Tuesday for absolute chaos. Otherwise, it's everybody, and it's early, and it's often this point of the year in college football. Florida State LSU. That's going to be the Sunday night matchup, 5:30 on ABC. It's going to be Brian Kelly's first his debut as the head coach of LSU.
I don't even know if Florida State has anymore. Talk about a program that has died.
I really hope that Florida State is able to pull off an upset because
I do too.
I cannot stand Brian Kelly. Cannot stand him.
Jimmy, I do too, but I cannot.
I don't see how it's possible. I really don't. It's the All-State Louisiana kickoff, so they're playing in the Superdome in New Orleans. So it's going to be all LSU people. LSU is only favored by 3. So there's that.
There's that. They got that going for them, right? So yeah. I'm taking that game. I can't.
Jordan Travis threw for 270 yards last week. Florida State played in week 0 and they got a win. They had a running back rush for 130 yards. So it may be competitive for a grip. I really don't know what to expect out of that game. The game that's going to be played on Labor Day, Monday night, Clemson is number 4. They are trying to turn themselves around also after a down year, going 10-2.
With Tayo, what?
DJ Uiagalelei.
Yeah, is he still there? Yeah, he's still.
Yeah. I think this is his senior year, or this is the year that he becomes draft eligible.
Yeah.
So he might be trying to really step himself up. Georgia Tech's interesting to me because they finally got away from the triple option offense. That coach finally retired. Yeah, but
I don't like that, Jimmy, because
I know you don't.
Because they cover.
It does hurt. It does hurt betting. But Georgia Tech has the athletes. They should have adapted to college football a long time ago. They might have been a little bit more relevant. I think it would have helped them quite a bit, especially being right in the heart of Atlanta. They have so much talent all around them, yet nobody wants to play in a triple option offense. DT is probably the only receiver that can play in a triple option offense and play.
Yeah, Calvin Johnson also. That doesn't help.
Yeah, those are the two. Those are the two.
Megatron, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be either nicknamed Megatron or be Demaryius Thomas, who's 6'3", can run a 4.5 40 and is chiseled from granite. So if you have those two things, then you can be relevant from Georgia Tech, especially when they're running the wing T. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. Let's transition now.
I have my lock of the week because
you have a lock of the week.
I went 1-0 last week. I might as well do it every week. My lock of the week is Penn State minus 2.5 against Purdue. I think they roll over Purdue. 2.5 is way too easy. I think that's a lock.
The spoiled Kings last season, Purdue.
I know. I took Penn State.
We should change their name to the Spoiler Makers.
I maybe I listened too much Kirk Herbstreit on Pat McAfee show, but he said Penn State is a sleeper team, so that could make some noise in the Big Ten. So I had him on mute when he was talking, but I took that with
they were playing a Penn State highlight reel when he was talking.
This is a guy that went to Ohio State and that hates Penn State, so that must mean something. So that's why I took 2.5. Let's see if I can stay hot.
He went Joe Buck so quick. You could barely even tell that he went to Ohio State anymore. He went full-on national broadcaster. I can't even tell who he roots for. He shows no bias whatsoever. He's a perfect role.
It's better that way. It technically is better that way.
It's supposed to be how you do it, but it's very difficult to get to that point, especially if you're a competitive person. To me, that just means that he wasn't as competitive as he says he was when he was playing.
Still think
I'm never going to call a man out like that, but
I think he is a hell of a commentator. I honestly like him on Thursday Night Football.
I'm really glad that they're making the NCAA game again, and I've been hearing rumors that they're doing live commentary with him and I believe it's going to be Fowler as well. The guy that he does his primetime game.
That's good with me. And look, I love college football game day. Everyone does, but man, how sad it was. It was a Lee Corso trying to do that. That's
it wasn't. Yeah. Did you see the meme that I saw going around? You remember the Beyond Scared Straight when they wake up the kid and he's grabbing his jacket and he's crying, and he's scared. I saw ESPN waking up Lee Corso on his 87th birthday for College Game Day.
God,
yeah. I thought last year it was going to be his farewell tour. He shouldn't have come back after they went virtual for COVID. If we're being honest.
Man. It was tough.
I feel bad for the people who don't understand how great Lee Corso was on College Game Day. He used to be what made it fun. Great, yeah, he used to be what made it worth watching. You would get up. Who gets up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday?
Yeah, no one does.
Nobody does, except everybody who
wants.
wants to get up and watch Lee Corso ramble on about the Florida State offense for an hour and a half before they have kickoff at 10 a.m.
And our generation, like watching college football, that was our youth. Like watching him shoot the loaded cannon up in the air in Oklahoma with the Sooner, and Kirk being like, "Oh fuck," him not noticing that it was loaded.
How many times do you think that he did something with the mascots and Kirk had no idea, and Kirk just had to be like, "What the? This old guy's gonna shoot me in the face with a musket. This is how I'm dying today."
Like I said, look, there's a ESPN documentary about Lee Corso, about the headgear and everything, that I highly recommend. That if you didn't know about him, that you just need to watch, because it's hilarious. He was he's a national treasure. It's unfortunate where he's at right now, but like, do you blame the man? Like, he's been
college football Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it's unfortunately time to hang him up. It's going to be a sad day when he has to put his final headgear on, but I think we're getting close to that.
Man, we've lost now Doc Emmerich, Vin Scully, and we're close to losing Lee Corso, all within the span of like 3 seasons. That's all of the voices of our generation. That's crazy. Ugh. Or think about the Brent Musburgers and the Keith Jones too. Those are guys that have come and gone within our lifetimes. Brent Musburger is still calling the Raiders game, so I guess if you're in Vegas, you can listen to him call a Raider game on the radio.
And Musburger is just as tough to get along with. After the AJ McCarron incident,
that was so funny. That was the best 2 minutes of ESPN I've ever watched in my life. Just
he's not wrong.
Look at how hot his girlfriend is. So you want to be the quarterback of Alabama, huh?
It's the meme. Look, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but you didn't have to say that.
You shouldn't. You were supposed to use your inner monologue when you said that.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you're way too young to be listening to the show. Let's put it that way.
You should, the warning at the beginning of the podcast, very clearly stated there might be some things that you have no clue what we're talking about, and that's on you. If you're listening to this and if you're one of the kids in my class, do your schoolwork. Number one. Make sure that you get your assignment done, and also stop listening to the show, please. It makes Mr. P feel a lot better when you don't listen to the show.
A whole lot better, yeah.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit